Welcome back, viewers. I'm Frederick Noronha. This is Literary Goa, the program that looks at books and authors working and writing on Goa. Today, we are looking at an unusual field, I think my first in this subject, the subject of economics, the dismal and dry science of economics, which doesn't get its due share of attention for various reasons. Anyway, with us today is Dr. Christina de Souza, who has done her PhD in the subject, published a book, published papers on the subject, and Christina, welcome.
Thank you.
We would just like to request you to explain your first book, which has a nice photo on the cover.
Right.
And it's called Helping Oneself, Helping Others. It looks at the self-help group model in Goa. I know this is a complex subject. It's not as catchy. Economics is not as catchy as the other sciences. But I'll leave it to you to explain what's in it.
Yeah, so this is my first book titled Helping Oneself, Helping Others, and it focuses on self-help groups in Goa. I went around collecting a lot of data, and the book focuses on the economic and social empowerment of women since they are members of the self-help groups. So whether self-help groups have promoted the empowerment of women socially and economically is what this book focuses on. And it also focuses on the problems and challenges faced by the members of the self-help groups, so that measures could be taken in order to, help women in self-help groups to become empowered.
What were your findings?
My findings were that women in the self-help groups improved their self-confidence. They became more self-confident. Their family relations improved. Their savings increased. However, when it comes to income, they earned low incomes because they were producing low valued goods. So they should be taught to increase the value of their products, through training programs. Now, the problem that they faced was that they didn't receive enough of training.
But before we'll go into the details, I found it quite amazing, Christina, that actually you, with facts and figures, you've shown how these groups, these small groups which are so invisible, which are not spoken about, which are not glamorized,
correct,
have actually been helping and building skills in a certain section of Goa, rural Goa.
Yes, very much. And especially in the low income groups. So the self-help groups are women who belong to the economically weaker sections of society, and the self-help groups have been helping them to, improve their income, trying to improve their standard of living. Another problem that they face is also marketing.
But before we go into details,
yes,
what's the history of the SHGs in Goa and in India?
The SHGs was a pilot study that was implemented by NABARD in 1992. And they tried, to...
After liberalization.
Yes, after liberalization. And they tried to include the self-help groups into the financial system, because women or people with low incomes are unable to get credit from the banking system. So they lose out on, getting loans in order to start economic activities and business enterprises.
So how does this work?
When self-help groups are linked with banks, then banks provide them with microcredit. So even they can take very small loans too.
Yeah.
In order to start business enterprises. Otherwise, with just their individually, with just their savings, they can't do much.
A group of women get together.
Yes, right.
And they form a self-help group which has an identity, and they approach the bank.
Yes, they approach the bank once they are stabilized.
Yeah, and they get credit with or without collateral?
Without collateral. They can get credit. That was the purpose of starting this self-help group bank linkage program. Yeah, so, and the microcredit and the self-help group linking them with banks actually started in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Yes.
Grameen Bank and all that.
Yes, the Grameen Bank. Mohammed Yunus, who was a professor in the University of Chittagong in Bangladesh.
So if I understand it right, excuse me if I'm wrong, the idea is that because they are a group of people, there would be peer pressure on each other to repay the loans.
Yes, correct. Because they have meetings, and it has been found that self-help groups do repay back their loans. So banks, like, don't have such a big problem as
They are not
to
bad
face
loans.
NPAs, yeah,
Non-performing
not
assets.
yeah. So they do repay back the loans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in Goa, what are the skills that are being offered over the years? Have they changed? Has it improved? Is it see, because sometimes we dismissively say these are all pickle and papad groups, and I think we have a certain contempt towards the low value items. But somewhere people have to start also. So what are the products that they are into in Goa?
Actually, they produce very healthy products, and they're all homemade. Of course, they do have laddus, pickles, papads, and all these things. And some of them also have handicrafts. But I think value addition needs to be done. So training programs need to be organized for the self-help groups so that, it adds value to what they're producing, and therefore they can earn better incomes.
Just to get an idea, because it's quite a technical subject, some of us may have not encountered these self-help groups, some of us may have encountered them, may not have been aware that they are SHGs.
Yes.
Where are these groups available, and what are their characteristics? I know sometimes we see them in parts of Panjim and things like that. Where are they available, and how do you access them?
They usually, you can see them in exhibitions. For exhibitions when they're organized by the government or by the Rural Development Agency, most of the self-help groups come out at that time, or in the local markets. Like, for example, in Salegaon, the Panchayat has these self-help groups over there. They've given them space. So if things like this are done, then, they come into focus and people know that the self-help groups are there. Or even the community markets that we have, the village community markets, you have it in Aldona, you have it in Salegaon, you have it in Kurtori. So this, gives them space. It's a platform for them to be more visible in society.
Any group can form a self-help group?
Yeah, it has to be a group of 15 to 20 women, or even males. But usually in Goa, majority of the self-help groups are women self-help groups.
Why?
I don't know, maybe the males
maybe males have other options,
or they are employed.
Yeah,
so these are women who are unemployed, and therefore they come together.
This is particularly suited maybe to part-time work, to surplus hours work and working from home and those kind of.
Yes, for women, this, and it is a homogeneous group. So they come from the same background, from the same socio-economic background, and therefore they can get along.
Just to understand it right, so a group of 15 to 20 people gets together, organizes itself, and then what?
And then they pool their resources together. They have a common fund. They have to save regularly, and once they stabilize, then they can get into the self-help group bank linkage happens.
Stabilize means some criteria.
They need to be together for a certain period of time. Yeah, you just can't start a self-help group today and then get a bank linkage.
And get a loan tomorrow.
So they have to have thrift, have a common fund, regularly save in that common fund, conduct their economic activities. Even from the common fund, they can give loans to each other. For small purposes, like household, they have any crisis, or if they have to pay the fees of their children, then they can take a loan from the self-help group itself.
That's very interesting. I got waylaid with your topic, and I went into this by way of knowing more about self-help groups and educating myself. But I think the point that comes out here is also that there is so much in this subject that it's all below the surface, and economics is like that. It's a field where so much is happening, but we are not aware of it. And we think of it as a boring science, as a dismal science, as something that we are not so caught up with, not so interested with. Till it explodes, like in Sri Lanka, when we see some economics ruining a full country and things like that. But even then, the images of someone swimming in the president's swimming pool are much more attractive than knowing why it happened. So coming back to the wider issue of economics in Goa, tell us about your trajectory, how you studied, what drew your interest in this field, who were the teachers, who were the influencing forces in your life. Just a gist, so that maybe young people who want to enter this field can learn from your experience.
Actually, if you want to learn economics, the first thing is that you have to have good teachers to teach you economics. Yes, I did have. I did have good teachers that taught me economics, like Professor Sylvia Noronha. Then I had Dr. Gomes B.A. Gomes in St. Xavier's College. So they are the ones who actually helped me create an interest in economics. They were very good teachers, and that's how I took interest in the subject, and then went on to do my MA, and I also completed my doctorate in the subject.
What was your topic?
It was on labor welfare and job satisfaction. I looked at, I made a comparative study of Indian and multinational pharmaceutical companies in Goa. At that time, the pharmaceutical companies were the sunrise industry in Goa. So that is why I studied the pharma industry.
Now
Yeah.
it is not?
It still is.
It still is.
Yes.
One sector which has done well,
Well,
no?
in
Although
Goa.
it's not so
yes.
noticed.
Yeah, it still is. And we do have Indian and multinational
Interesting.
companies in Goa.
Interesting. So you found economics along the way interesting. What drew your interest and what made you suddenly like the subject? At what point? Do you remember that point?
It was in my third year BA when we had to choose our subjects, and I chose economics as that I would study economics. We had 3 units that time.
Yeah.
So I did 3 units of
3 out of
economics.
6.
Yes. 6 units were not offered in
Yeah.
Xavier's at that time, in the 1980s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I did 3 units of economics and 3 units of commerce.
Okay. And then when you went to your master's level, what made you look at self-help groups? Why did you find it interesting or intriguing?
It was when I was going through research for my research topic in economics to do my doctorate that I came across this area of self-help groups, and then it became very interesting, and I also got funding from ICSSR Mumbai to do this study on self-help groups, and therefore I went ahead.
What are
study.
the other subjects in Goa in the field of economics that have been studied on either as books or as theses?
We have labor economics. A lot of things have been done in labor economics, environmental economics. We have professors at the university.
Authors
who
like
are into environmental economics, like Pranab Mukherjee.
Yeah,
He is
yeah.
very much into environmental economics. Then we have Professor Sudarshan at the university who are into environmental economics. So labor economics was Professor Sylvia, did a lot of work in labor economics. And then we have books by Dr. N.G. George in entrepreneurship, Miss Dr. Elizabeth Henriquez from Government College Borda. She has 2 books to her credit. Then we also have various other people in the field of economics at the college level who have also contributed in various fields. We have Professor Savio Falero, who has done in health economics. So there are people in Goa who have been contributing to this to the economic field.
compared to other fields, would it be right to say that it's a little bit understudied? In my collection of Goa books, I have a lot of books on history, a lot of books on literature, Goan writing, fewer books in economics.
But a lot of research is going on in the field of economics in colleges as well as at the university.
I see.
People are publishing papers, maybe not books,
Okay.
but a lot of paper publications have taken place in journals, and at all levels we have, and in all fields of economics we do have people, teachers, research scholars who are doing a lot of publication, but is mostly in journals.
Technical journals, and it is also seen as a technical subject which the common man may not appreciate or understand. No?
Yes, that could
In
be a
that sense.
possibility. Yes, yeah.
I see.
So I suppose books that make it simple for people to understand would be much appreciated by the common man.
Yeah.
There are teachers who also write in newspapers. Yeah, there's Dr. Manasvi who writes in newspapers regularly.
Yeah.
So I suppose that will make interesting reading for readers.
Very interesting. And I'm sure that even the students are undertaking interesting research for short-term projects, dissertations, PhD
That's right.
topics.
Yes. Yeah, they do work on contract labor, on agricultural workers. There's research going on in these fields.
Actually, it's our fault because we don't look at economics as something so close to our lives. And it doesn't fit into the news format or even a discussion format like this, because it's a slow moving story that takes years if not decades to unfold, and it's not as dramatic, say, as history or even sociology or something like that, which can be more easily encapsulated, probably. Just
But I think economics rules our lives when we see inflation, expenditure increase. It's all part of economics.
Of course.
Yes, unemployment in the country, in the state.
It is a fascinating field. It is a
Yes.
fascinating field.
Yeah.
Once you get to understand it,
Correct.
you
Yeah.
know, it takes time. It takes time to understand the big picture of it. But Indian economics and Goa. As far as Goa is concerned, what are the under researched topics according to you?
What topics should be researched
Yeah.
in this field? I think startups, because that is something new that is happening, and we are having a lot of startups in Goa. So research could be conducted on startups, on agricultural economics. A lot of farmers are going into organic farming now. How organic farming could be the future of the agricultural sector, that could be researched upon. Then the unorganized sector, we have a huge unorganized sector. Majority of people belong to the unorganized sector, nearly 92%.
In Goa? In India?
In India, 92%. And even in Goa, there's a large section of the unorganized sector that exists in the state also. So
quite
that
invisible,
could be,
no?
Yes, very much invisible. Like you have contract labor and you have migrant workers.
Yeah.
So on migration also, studies could be conducted. So these are the areas that could be focused upon.
What was teaching like in the college? I know you're associate professor at Khandola. So you just mentioned that you passed 32 years there, which is a long time.
Yes.
So what were the challenges there? How do students take to economics today?
Students are quite interested in the subject. We have a lot of students who opt for the honors course now in the college.
Honors would mean all 6 papers?
Yes, all 6 papers. Yeah, so they have 6 papers and they're quite interested in the subject. We conduct regular workshops for them, state level workshops for the students on contemporary economic issues. Like, the employability skills, what are the employability skills that are required, what is the work culture, the academic industry relationship, what is expected by the students, from the students, by the industry. We call people from the industrial field. We also train them on interview skills, so that we make them ready for
industry
work. Yes, once they pass out from the college. So that's what creates interest in the students.
And are the students undertaking projects at the TY or whatever level in local subjects? If so, like what?
They do. Project is a compulsory paper for them. Yeah. So at the TY, they have to select a topic for the project, and they do select topics on which is economic related, like for example, health of women, and compare it with rural and urban areas. Self-help groups is another topic that they study. They also study the small-scale industries or the micro industries. During the pandemic, I conducted a study with them with regard to household expenditure and also what the students faced, during the pandemic, what the problems they faced during the pandemic. So during the pandemic also a study was conducted. So we conduct studies on very contemporary issues that happen at that time. Like another study was on vegetable vendors, motorcycle pilots.
Very interesting.
Yeah, what contingencies they face and what measures they take in order, to take care of these contingencies that they face.
It's a very challenging field because not only do you need to get the story right, but you have to get the figures to back up.
Right. And students are very interested in in their project.
It's in their backyard and it pertains to their life also.
Yeah, and for the first time they go out to collect data, so they know what research is all about, and this definitely will help them in the future.
So Khandola has its catchment in much of Ponda, a bit of Tiswadi as far as students go?
Yes. So we have from the neighboring villages. They also come from Panjim.
I see.
Yeah, some of them come from Margaon also.
I see.
Yeah, so we have a lot of people coming from all over, north and south.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell us about your paper in this journal, the Indian Journal of Labour Economics.
Yeah, this was on what influences job satisfaction, in the industries. So, which labor welfare facilities are more prominent in influencing job satisfaction of workers in these industries? And it is found that training and well-being of workers are the main influencing factors.
On the job training?
Yeah, on the job training. Because it's a pharmaceutical industry and, it's constantly changing. So, workers want training.
I see.
Yeah. They want training and also well-being of workers.
Well-being in what sense?
Well-being in providing welfare facilities to
I
them,
see.
like a good work environment and promotions. These sort of welfare facilities that can be provided to the workers really influences their job satisfaction.
What makes pharma in Goa different from the other industries? It has this clean kind of, upmarket kind of image, well-paying, slightly different from the sweatshops that other industries can end up as. What's the reason for that?
I suppose they want people first and foremost who are well qualified for the pharma industry, and maybe the salaries that they get and the experience that they get in the pharma industry.
Right. It's also one of
Yeah.
these well-paying industries because Indian pharmaceuticals is booming, and the generics have also done well in other countries, and
Yeah, it's a booming industry, and it attracts a lot of people who are well qualified.
its growth in Goa has not been widely noticed, no, for some reason. It is only after it grew that people started noticing that pharma is here. Would that be right?
Yeah, because at that time they were getting a lot of incentives from the government.
I see.
Yeah, so that is why they were investing more and more in Goa.
I see.
Yeah.
But they've stayed
that
on
time.
after the incentives also.
Yeah, they've stayed on. Yeah.
If you had to study some subjects, what would it be
Subjects in
economics in future?
I'm planning to study women entrepreneurs in Goa. In fact, I'm getting a sabbatical for that,
I see.
thanks to Directorate of Higher Education, and I'm focusing on women entrepreneurs in Goa, both in rural as well as urban areas.
Would this be case studies or more statistics based? Or
No, I would like to interview some of the, first generation
I see.
women entrepreneurs, some who are well established women entrepreneurs, and find out what strategies they have adopted in order to be so successful, what motivated them to come into becoming entrepreneurs.
What are the examples of successful women entrepreneurs? I mean, they are there, but they are very invisible, no? In that sense, we don't give them credit probably for what we should be saying.
Yeah, so that is why I'm getting into this area, of finding out. So it's going to be my research in this year.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Which fields mostly?
In women entrepreneurs, no, across. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, across, and it will be both in rural as well as urban areas.
Some of these fields are very subterranean, no? No one talks about them till you actually go and do work and you realize.
Yes, and find out.
A lot exists.
Yeah, I think research is all about finding out.
Does academia and college work give you enough time? Of course, this is a sabbatical, so you'll be off. But
Yes.
Otherwise, do you get enough time, or is it a lot of? I mean, there is a workload. Even teaching for a few hours a day, you need to prepare a lot. So
right. But I feel that if people want to research, then they will do it, no matter what. Yeah, because in teaching also we have to do a lot of research because we have to update ourselves, especially in economics. Things change from one day to another. It's different, so we have to keep ourselves updated. So we do a lot of research, and a lot of research is going on in colleges. A lot of teachers are into research. And I don't think that teaching comes in the way of our research, because we do have time and we can make time to do research. So just teaching by itself, I don't think it is fulfilling, but research is also important, and that is the total aspect of the profession.
Thanks so much, Christina, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you and to have, to discuss this not so easy subject, because it's complex. It's important to us. It might be not so catchy and seductive as other stories are, but it's very important and it rules our life. So the faster we understand it, the better we understand it. It can also make things better for us.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, thanks so much for this book on this interesting subject. It's serious and it's statistical driven, your book, I must say, but still, even I found it very insightful to understand what's going on there. Keep up the good work and looking forward to much more research from your pen. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.